So good morning, everybody. My name is Stu Johnson with Rootstock. I'm going to spend a couple of minutes introducing you to Rootstock, and then I'm going to ask my guest, Judd, to introduce himself and kick off a discussion about their journey on a next generation ERP. So, first things first, Rootstock is the #1 manufacturing ERP on the Salesforce platform. Full stop. Full functionality, both deep and broad functionality across all of the main business parts of a manufacturing business. Of course, we connect with our partners Salesforce from the beginning of an arrangement, right? Everything starts with a sale, and leverage a common data model with everything that gets entered at the CRM, so you never have to enter customer data ever again, all the way to closed loop with service. I'd really like to focus on the single data model. Because in my 30-year career in enterprise software, this is a killer app, right? Not having to deal with multiple silos and find some way to reconcile all the data that goes in and out of those. But ever more important is the fact that these aren't just functional areas of the business. These are people with roles and jobs doing the work. And so I always like to really uncover some other killer apps, a common user experience across all of these different domains. Significant for the labor shortage and skills gaps that we all have. Somebody can come in, sit at their chair, roll over and do another role and know that they don't have to switch into another user experience, user interface. Common workflow. There's nothing that breaks your day than when the data you need or the process you're using has to go from one thing to the next and switching. So all of these things, I think, build a powerful front end, if you will, to a very robust Salesforce platform. And I could go into detail on all these things. You'll hear a lot about the different elements of the platform throughout the day. But things like mobile, for anybody who had to deal with remote work during the pandemic, common collaboration so that you can keep people connected when they are not inherently connected at the office, and so on. Analytics against a common data model. Killer app, instead of having to do different analytics on different data sources, try to reconcile all the data, and so on. Leverage the bigger elements of the Salesforce solution, obviously, for commerce, a lot of e-commerce, especially even customers throughout the pandemic decided that can we do e-commerce, and did in a couple of weeks stand up an e-commerce site. But what's really important is the connection with the manufacturing cloud. We call them the sort of front office, and we'd be the operational back office, or you could say top floor to shop floor, whatever. But that's a really important element to understand how this all comes together into something I call a manufacturing operating system. Moreover, you're here for a manufacturing summit that is populated with many of our manufacturing partners. We all work very well together because every manufacturer needs more than any one solution. An ERP doesn't solve all your problems. So the ability to literally plug in other enterprise solutions, other point solutions from the App Exchange to really round out your whole end-to-end business IT stack. At the end of the day, we are about helping your business transformation. Everybody is moving to the cloud, and that means new and different ways of doing business, becoming a digital enterprise. And we focus on being that sort of comprehensive control mechanism in the middle of all these enterprise systems. All built on the platform, of course, that, biggest platform on earth, biggest enterprise solution on earth now. That is a future-proof element that you can bet your business on, right, to build out your stack and continue building it. And I never want to forget the importance of making your people more productive, because, if you don't have people, you don't have the work, you can't get the work done, all those kinds of things. You all know this very well. So that's pretty much a quick summary of what Rootstock is and does. Invite you to come to the booth for more deep discussions on any topic that applies to your particular business. But I would like to introduce my longtime customer, Glenn Judd from Nanophase. And Glenn, I think it's probably better for you to introduce yourself and Nanophase than me.
Sure.
So I will hand it over to you.
Sure. Thank you, Stu. I'm very pleased to be here today and talk with you all about our experience with Rootstock. I'll give a quick overview of what we do at Nanophase. We were founded in 1989 as a technology spinoff from Argonne. Scientists there had come up with a new way of making nanoparticles, basically involving plasma arc technology. You use that to vaporize precursor materials, metals for example, react them with oxygen, you make an atomic vapor, condense it out, control that condensation, and you can get very precise control of these small crystals that you form that are nanometric in scale. There's a picture of the arc there. They're actually really kind of pretty. An example, one of the materials we make next to it, and that's a TEM. You can actually see the crystallographic planes in the crystals there.
Okay.
So for about 10 years, that's all we did was make nanoparticles and find applications for them. One of the biggest applications and the best value proposition was a nano zinc oxide for personal care. Turns out it makes it for a very good sunscreen. Goes on your skin, it's nice and transparent, but it does a very good job of blocking and absorbing UV light. So that's by far kind of our hero product. More recently, we have moved up the value chain. We do make other nanomaterials that go into glass polishing, into outdoor wood products. But our biggest, by far, application is in skincare, daily wear, cosmetics, and sun protection products with SPF. And we do make fully formulated products. We go all the way from making the zinc oxide nanoparticles to, as a CMO or CDMO, the fully formulated, finished packaged consumer products that you would find in stores. So very vertically integrated. We currently have 3 manufacturing facilities, 90 plus employees, about 50 people on the Salesforce Rootstock platform as users. So a lot of our staff interacts with the platform daily to do their job. Rapidly growing, and we have been a Salesforce customer for 8 years, and Rootstock, we went live in 2017.
Well, I'm really interested in your move to the cloud. Mm-hmm. You were a small company,
yep.
So many years. What drove that? Was that a digital transformation initiative? Was it IT simplification? What were the business drivers that sent you to the cloud?
The primary one was a kind of obsolescence of the software packages we were using. We were still using stuff we had from the 90s, on-prem packages like Platinum for Windows, which is a Sage product, a Sugar CRM, and there was a need to kind of rev all that up to next generation ERP system. We were pivoting at that point to go to these fully formulated products, so we knew we were going to have an explosion of SKUs, much more complexity in our operation, a lot more transactions to handle. So there was a need to come up with a very good ERP solution to help us transition to that. The idea with going to the cloud, having managed these on-prem systems with 3 different plants with the servers, you guys, I'm sure a lot of you have had that experience. There's a lot of hassles with that. Revving up software and hardware alone can be a pain. Servers break, hard drives break, you lose data. We wanted to have something, we knew we were going to grow rapidly, that would scale with our business without any hassle. We wanted to reduce our IT burden. We wanted to have something that would be 20 or 30 years down the road, would still be modern and relevant. Because you don't like to have to re-implement ERP every 5 years. not the most pleasant exercise.
Nobody wants to implement an ERP anyway.
Anywhere. And it actually took a couple years to finally get to the point where, all right, let's just do it, because we have to. And there's other advantages of the cloud too. Data backups, security. I think people are finally getting to understand that actually the cloud is, in most cases, more secure than your on-prem systems. In fact, our on-prem system has been hacked 3 or 4 times.
Really?
And we've lost data. And with our cloud systems with Salesforce and Rootstock, none of that has ever happened. So it's definitely less of a concern with those sorts of things happening. We wanted mobility and accessibility as well. So we wanted to build mobile tools. We wanted everybody in the company to have easy access to the system. And again, the cloud offers that through web apps rather than logging into an on-prem system. So those are the main drivers for wanting to go to the cloud.
I always say, if you didn't have mobile ERP during the pandemic, I'll bet you wish you had cloud just to get mobile now.
Yeah,
right?
And that was, it's funny you mentioned that. So that we stayed in business during the pandemic because some of the materials we make were essential. But a lot of people work from home. And with the cloud-based platform, there was no issue at all with wherever people were.
No
having
hiccups
access.
at all?
Nothing, no.
Oh, it's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm sure the audience is curious about why Salesforce. Of all the options you had, what drove you to the Salesforce platform?
We're kind of a tech-oriented company, so a lot of the folks in our company are tech savvy. So we wanted a solution that was very flexible, scalable, that would cover everything we'd want to do to run our business on one platform. And with Salesforce, you have that. It's like the apps on your iPhone. You can find an app for anything. You can find an app on Salesforce for about anything.
You just showed me a whole list of apps that
Yeah.
you, the Vice President of Engineering, have written.
Yeah.
That's pretty nice.
We do that. We have a problem. One way to solve it's write an app if you can do it. Or sometimes there's packaged ones you can just get. But we wanted the flexibility. Again, when we started going up the value chain with these fully formulated consumer products, we weren't quite sure what that would all entail down the road. So we wanted maximum flexibility. And that platform allows you to have that and allows your own users to be able to create some of those, tailor some of those solutions to do what you want it to do quickly and effectively.
Have you used I guess we'll talk about the App Exchange, but have you expanded that
Yes.
and leveraged the platform beyond just CRM and
We have
ERP?
20 or 30 packages that we've acquired that way, and we built some ourselves. So that is growing every year for us.
Well, the other big question I think the audience wants to hear is why Rootstock? What drove you to a Rootstock choice among all the other sort of ERP
We looked at a
options?
lot of choices, including on-prem choices, just because that's historically what people use and we know it works. It really came down to a few things. Whatever we picked had to be able to handle all aspects of our operation, and now and in the future. And we saw that Rootstock offered that. We didn't want a long, drawn-out, difficult integration if we went with a different software to integrate it into Salesforce, which at the time we were using as our CRM platform. Mm-hmm. Rootstock is native to the platform, if you will, so there really isn't an integration issue there. And really, the people sold it. The folks at Rootstock were great to work with. Very bright bunch of folks, from the president all the way down to all the technical folks we worked with. Very easy to work with, very responsive, very problem-solve oriented, and that helps sell it as well. And it's been a very good relationship with the team at Rootstock for us, and they've helped us make the most of the software.
Glad to hear it. We've talked about this manufacturing operating system. I'm curious what specifics, what meets our needs current and future, what manufacturing dimensions did you find in Rootstock that maybe you wouldn't have gotten in other non-manufacturing kind of ERP?
Well, it had everything you would want to do in there. There's all kinds of objects in Rootstock to do any kind of transaction you'd want to do. You can customize those to get them to work the way you want. So our manufacturing operation's complex. We make nanoparticles, and that's a continuous process on the front end. Then we do batches of these cosmetic materials in the middle. Then we do kind of final assembly, which is more like discrete manufacturing when you put these things together and put them in cartons and so on. And the platform works equally well all the way across the board that way. Some of our BOMs are 6 or 7 levels deep, and it's very easy to navigate those in Rootstock. They have these great features like BOM mass replace. So let's say you have an item you need to replace, and it might be in 30 BOMs, different levels. You just put the new item in, replaces this item, click a button, and it just takes care of it all the way through. And I know other ERP systems do that as well, but there's a lot of those kinds of tools available that really facilitate managing a complex set of BOMs and components.
Well, you've been with Nanophase for 22 years, did you say? Mm-hmm. Using Salesforce and Rootstock for 8-ish, 4 and 8. Mm-hmm. How did that differ from the before state? What was your before state like?
So the software we had didn't do all that. It was much more limited. So we had a lot of stuff we did on the side with Excel spreadsheets and database stuff with Access, and it was a lot of rigmarole to kind of get data back and forth between all the different ways you were working with it.
Not common data.
Not right.
Disparate data, right?
Disparate data.
Not common user interface.
And somebody had to create reports, if you wanted to look at KPIs, and now all of that is done in Rootstock and on Salesforce and the platform. We don't have any of that going on anymore.
Well, we talked about the app exchange. Mm-hmm. The concept of an ecosystem and a common platform, pretty powerful, it sounds like.
It is.
And fairly complex. Can you give us an idea of how you put all these pieces together and how that all works together?
Yeah, so we would look at, what is it we need to do that we currently can't do or can't do effectively, and you can go on the user community, you can read up on the different apps that are available, get in touch with them, they can demo it, then you just do generally pretty simple integration, if you will, to start using it, and then you roll out the training, and you can do that in a couple of months.
One customer called it configuration versus integration.
Yeah, that's a better term.
And just an order of magnitude easier than...
Yeah, for sure.
How does Rootstock work with all the other different components you've got here?
It's worked very well. It interfaces very well with Salesforce, so we manage all the opportunities through Salesforce. All the products are built in Salesforce, and we link those with Rootstock. In Rootstock, you have the ability, when you create a new item, to make it a product. With one click, you can create the product masters, and you can also then create the Salesforce products all in the same session. So you're not having to build them in multiple places and then link them all. You can do that very easily, all from within Rootstock.
Common workflow, common user experience,
Yeah.
Looking at that stack, my big question is, how hard was it to A, build it, and B, one of the bullets you talked about, maintained it. How hard is it, or how easy was it to build and maintain?
I think considering what it does, it was quite a bit easier to build than it would have using other approaches. You're not having to write a lot of code, for example. You might, if you want to create a custom template, write some Apex code or something, or a custom workflow, but generally you don't have to write a lot of code to do all that. So it's not like you have to be really a great programmer to make it work. So I think it was pretty easy to do considering what we're getting out of it. And we're a small company, and a handful of us, 3 or 4 of us, were able to do it in addition to our normal jobs.
Which is important.
Yeah, which is important. So I don't think it was that hard at all. And of course, you can hire all kinds of technical talent, either directly from Salesforce or Rootstock. There's a lot of third-party folks out there that can help you too if you don't have that bandwidth or talent internally.
Yeah, we have a broad ecosystem of partners at all the different levels.
Mm-hmm.
How long I had a customer ask me, or a person asked me earlier today, how long does it take to implement? You kind of have a ballpark on how long
it took us about 6 months. And you know, it should have gone faster. What happened is at the time, the team we had, maybe 8 people from different functional areas, and they all had work to do every week. And they all have 60-hour-a-week jobs. So it languished for a while. And what we finally ended up doing is, all right, we just need to set up time off-site, 4-hour blocks of time. And then it went quickly. So I think if we had started doing that, it could have been 3 or 4 months.
Wow.
Instead of 6.
Oh.
But even 6 is not terrible considering.
No, that's, you know, really excellent, actually best in class.
And we went live, and we had no disruptions in our operations. There were some challenges and problems that we had to work through, but it wasn't like there were any stoppages of anything critical right out the gate. So it went pretty smoothly.
Well, the big question is, how does it work? What kind of outcomes have you gotten from that investment?
It's hard to quantify all of it and be fair, but it's helped us immensely in all aspects of our business. I got some data up here, and this is a little bit older data. I could probably talk for an hour with how it's made us more efficient. Our transactional load, going from 2016 to where we are today, has increased at least an order of magnitude.
Oh, wow.
Given the increase in our SKU count, the complexity in our builds and our products.
So obviously you staffed by an order of magnitude too, right?
We didn't.
I knew the answer to that.
Yeah, no, we didn't. So we couldn't have done that without a platform like this. In addition, you know, things like getting these transactions done in real time, that has sped up all of the processes all the way through, because you can do them faster, particularly now with the mobile apps. We have real-time inventory movements where we didn't before. It might take a day for the guys to come back and enter in the transactions into a workstation. Now with a mobile device, they do it on the floor as production is happening. So that's been a big improvement. That's not even reflected in these numbers because it's fairly recent. IT burden, you know, we hardly spend any money now, at least with that platform, because we just do it internally with a couple of us. And maybe it's 5, 6, 7 hours a week for 2 or 3 of us, and we can handle it.
Wow, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. Whereas before, you know, you might pay somebody full-time to be on site to manage your system if you had a more traditional approach.
What about the people dimension? I'm always focused on that, you know, what breaks your day. How has this helped them be more productive, more, you know, how would you characterize what it's done for your staff?
So a big problem has always been having the data you need when you need it, or being able to find it. And this has helped a lot. All the data we use is on the platform. It's very easy to write custom views, write reports, write dashboards, if you know what data you want, to get it quickly, and everybody can have access to it immediately, even on your phone. It's very easy if you write one of these to get it on your phone so you can see it wherever you are. Whereas before you'd have to go log into a workstation and to find it. Now you can just look on your phone. And it's hard to quantify how much that's helped us, but it's been significant.
How about from the sort of frontline workers to the, you know, management level? I know it's a small company, but And then up to executives having to make decisions. How consolidated is all that? Is it, you know?
It's much more so than it was,
Okay.
but there's still room for improvement. We still kind of do our budgeting process offline through a budgeting tool on Financial Force, and then that kind of gets integrated in with data from Rootstock. So those kinds of things we're working on improving, so it is more seamless flow of information. But by and large, it's quite good.
Well, we're coming up on time here. So what's next?
Yeah, we got these few things going right now. The biggest one is electronic batch records. So we are regulated by the FDA. Sunscreens are considered a over-the-counter drug product. So we have, when we actually produce the batches, there's a batch record, a recipe that the operators follow, and it's on paper, and they have to do signatures, and then somebody has to take that information and get it in the system. We recently partnered with a company called Master Control, who can provide that electronic batch record format, and it's FDA approved and all that. And we are integrating Rootstock with that. So as the operators are following through these steps and entering information, it's immediately updating, say, the work orders or inventory in Rootstock. We'll be done with the first go of that in January.
Okay.
And the goal is by mid-year to have all of our production on that system. We do, on average, 10 batch records a day. And there's a lot of touches with it. And all that is going to get streamlined with this electronic system. So it's going to be a big improvement for efficiency, timeliness of data and accuracy, fewer mistakes, fewer people having to do reviews. You can roll that information up into dashboard information, just manage the exceptions instead of, looking through paper.
Have you ever had to do like an FDA audit or anything?
Oh yeah,
like that?
all the time. And
I
this will
understand.
simplify that too. You can build these reports, get information very quickly to show the FDA. They have these audit modules, and you can just show them these things rather than digging through binders and go find this, go find that. So.
Well, they used to say, maybe they still do, that when the FDA calls you, you have 4 hours to report. And that used to mean all hands on deck in the back room, going through cabinets, going through binders and things. Now, you just pull up a report.
It's still not a pleasant experience, but it's there's less concern running around, and then you're always worried, am I going to find it? Right. It will be right there, so that's going to be a win all the way around from all aspects. A couple other things we're looking at. We currently use Financial Force. When we went live with Rootstock, they did not have their own financial package, so we used this other app, which was on the Salesforce platform, Financial Force.
Still a partner of ours.
Yeah, and a fine partner, but we are evaluating the Rootstock financials because just makes a little more sense to put it all together. We're making more and more use of custom apps, so if there's anything that's happening away from a workstation or a computer that you want to capture the transaction, make it a mobile app, give them a mobile device. They can use their phone, or they have these Zebra units we bought, which are great, and it's an Android device, but it's got scanners, it's got a camera on it, it's got a barcode reader. You can go around and do your transaction as it's happening. You get better accuracy, you get better timeliness. You make the person's job easier. They're not having to write it down and go back and type it in. They have to do anything, just click it and point it.
Well, you told me before it used to be all the data would get entered at the end of the day.
Maybe.
So then your morning stand-up is talking about, yesterday's data we don't know, but we're going to do today's work without knowing that.
Yeah.
Now it's real time.
It's real time, and that's helping with inventory accuracy. It's helping the guys on the shop floor do more because they're more efficient at it, and they're not as worried about making mistakes or losing that piece of paper they wrote something down on, which happens. So
it happens to me all the time.
Yeah. We're looking at EDI capabilities, so we want to go direct to consumer, direct to retail. And Rootstock does offer that capability. So we're looking into doing that.
Now, will you have your own branded products then?
We do, but most of our business is other brands.
So you would be fulfilling their...
We would be fulfilling
Okay,
their orders directly, yeah. And again, that capability is there, and sometime next year we're going to implement that. And then lastly, looking at AI. So there's a lot of routine tasks. Even on the system, you do all this stuff, make it efficient. There's still a lot of kind of mindless routine tasks that have to be done. Give an example. Shipping invoices. They come in on email. Somebody's got to open the email, look at it, match it up with a PO, check it against the bill of lading, do the transaction. We're working with a third party right now who's built an app that will do all that for you. It'll read your email, it'll extract that invoice, it'll take the data out of the invoice, match it up with a PO, populate it, do the receipt, do the payment. And if there's a problem, it'll give you an exception that then you go in and do, but 80% of it just gets done and takes a big load off of somebody. That could be using their time and talent to do something higher value than just doing that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of opportunities in our company to apply these types of approaches to make our folks more efficient.
Yeah, I love it. I'm dying to see some of these, use cases of...
I hope in another 3 or 4 years when we talk that we'll have something really, really great to show you there.
Awesome. Well, we are at time. I'd love to take questions, but I'll invite you, if you have questions, to come up to our booth upstairs and chat through them. I think Glenn will be in and around for the day. So I will leave you with if I can get to the thank you slide. That's interesting. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wait.